A long time ago, there lived a king who was famed for his wisdom, and it seemed as if news was brought to him through the air. Every day after dinner, a trusty servant had to bring him one more covered dish. And the king never took off the cover to eat of it until he was quite alone. A young, curious servant, driven by an insatiable curiosity, dared to uncover the mysterious dish. Inside lay a luminous, white snake. He tasted the snake and was astonished to find himself endowed with the extraordinary ability to understand the language of animals. His life took an unexpected turn when the queen's precious ring had vanished, and suspicion fell unjustly on the servant. Threatened with dire consequences, he was given until the next dawn to retrieve the ring. The poor servant wandered out trying to figure out what to do. He noticed some ducks gossiping about the delicious treats they'd discovered. Then, one duck sadly confessed, "Something lies heavy on my stomach. As I was eating in haste, I swallowed a ring which lay under the queen's window." This unexpected piece of information gave the servant a glimmer of hope. The servant gently caught the duck. He didn't want to hurt it, so he carefully carried it to the kitchen. "Please help me," he pleaded with the cook. "I need to get something out of this duck." The cook agreed to help. With great care, they examined the duck and, to their astonishment, discovered the queen's ring lodged inside. The servant, overjoyed, could now easily prove his innocence. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the king offered the servant any reward he desired, promising him the highest position in the court. The servant refused everything and only asked for a horse and some money for traveling, as he had a mind to see the world and go about a little. The servant was traveling when he came upon a pond. 3 poor fish were trapped in the reeds, gasping for air. Though some might think fish are unfeeling, the servant heard their desperate cries. Moved by their plight, he dismounted and carefully released the fish back into the water. They quivered with delight and cried to him, "We will remember you and repay you for saving us." The servant continued his journey, but soon heard a faint voice from the sand. It was the Ant King, complaining bitterly about the heavy horse trampling his people. So he turned onto a side path, and the Ant King cried out to him, "We will remember you. One good turn deserves another." The path led him into a deep wood. There, he saw 2 old ravens standing by their nest, pushing their young ones out. "Get out. We can't feed you anymore. You're big enough to fend for yourselves." The poor young ravens lay on the ground, crying, "We can't fly. We'll starve." Seeing their despair, the kind young man dismounted his horse. Taking pity on the hungry birds, he shared his own travel rations with them. The grateful ravens, their bellies full, promised and cried, "We will remember you. One good turn deserves another." The young man journeyed for many miles until he reached a large city. The streets were filled with excited chatter, and a herald rode through the crowd, announcing, "The princess seeks a husband. But beware, any suitor who fails her challenge will be prisoned." Many had already tried and failed, yet when the young man saw the princess, her beauty captivated him. He forgot all fear and boldly declared his intention to win her hand. The young man, facing an impossible task, stood on the seashore, gazing at the swirling waves. The king had demanded he retrieve a golden ring thrown into the depths, threatening to drown him repeatedly if he failed. Despair threatened to consume him, but then a miracle occurred. 3 fish, their scales shimmering in the sunlight, swam towards him. These were the very fish he had saved from the fisherman's net long ago. The middle fish gently deposited a mussel at his feet. Within the shell, nestled safely, lay the golden ring. Overjoyed, he presented the ring to the king, expecting to be showered with praise and finally claim the princess's hand. However, the arrogant princess, unable to accept a commoner as her equal, devised another cruel test. She scattered 10 sacks of millet seeds across the garden, declaring that every single grain must be collected by sunrise or he would face death. The young man sat in the garden, his heart heavy with despair. How could he possibly complete such an impossible task? As the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, he gasped in astonishment. The 10 sacks stood neatly in a row, overflowing with millet seeds. The Ant King, remembering the kindness shown to his people, had mobilized his army of ants, who worked tirelessly through the night to gather every single grain. The princess, though amazed, remained obstinate. "He may have completed these tasks," she declared, "but he shall not be my husband until he brings me an apple from the tree of life." The young man, though uncertain of its location, embarked on his perilous journey. He traveled through vast lands, his hope dwindling with each passing day. Exhausted, he rested beneath a tree, only to hear a rustling above. A golden apple fell from the branches, landing softly in his hand. 3 ravens swooped down, perching on his knee. "We are the ravens you saved from starvation," they croaked. "Hearing of your quest, we flew to the ends of the earth, to the very tree of life, and brought you this apple." Overjoyed, the young man returned to the kingdom, presenting the golden apple to the astonished princess. Her pride finally broken, she realized the true worth of his kindness and courage. They shared the magical apple, and their hearts were filled with a love that transcended all barriers. They lived happily ever after, a testament to the power of compassion and the enduring rewards of selfless deeds.